We continue with a busy trade deadline day for Major League Baseball. We're checking in with Connor Thomas from Locked On Phillies because his team made two moves today. They got a bat and they got an arm. What was your initial reaction? Is this enough, or are you hoping they'll do a little bit more later on today?
Yeah, this is a really good trade deadline so far for the Philadelphia Phillies. Still a little bit of time to go. I think they lean more towards being done. And my initial reaction is you got a guy that could take over the center field spot, which has been an issue for the Phillies for years now. You haven't had an everyday center fielder that you trust at the major league level. And Brandon Marsh is only 24. He's pre-arbitration, and you've got him under team control until 2028. Which is always a huge point of emphasis for Dave Dombrowski when he tries to bring in players. So like that. And then you bring in David Robertson, who had been here in the past, but injuries kept him off the field for the majority of his time in Philadelphia, the first go round. And then he goes to the Cubs, and at 37, all of a sudden he's one of the best relievers of baseball, and you bring him back in. So excited what that does for the bullpen, excited to have a center fielder who will be the everyday center fielder for this team the rest of the way. And it's just two nice supplemental moves that should help this team get over the hump and make the playoffs for the first time in over a decade.
Speaking of Robertson, is this good enough to shore up the bullpen for you guys? Is another move need to be made, or you feel like this kind of gets them where they need to be?
Yeah, this takes care of everything on the bullpen end. And they were actually a really good bullpen. They've been one of the best in baseball over the past month and a half, really since about mid-June. They've been incredible. And the only guy that has been giving them trouble has been Jeurys Familia, who is DFA'd to make room for Robertson to come in. So when you replace the only trouble guy with a guy with, you see the stats right there, a 2.23 ERA in over 40 innings this year, and a guy that also has been there before, a 37-year-old veteran who's been around the block and seen everything there is to see at the major league level. This makes the back end even better than it already was for the Phillies. And with a strong starting rotation already, yeah, when you hand the ball over in the 6th or 7th inning, you feel even better than you did a day ago about the Phillies' chances.
Can never have enough arms, especially come playoff time. So that's good to see for them there. In terms of Marsh, I mean, you touched on it a little bit. They need a center fielder. They need some stability there. So does this do that for them? And also, what does he bring to them offensively?
Yeah, so offensively is the question. Now, he hit over 250 last year. So that shows, and it was like in 230 at-bats. It's a better look than what he's given so far this year for the Angels out there, because he hasn't looked like a major league hitter to this point. But again, only 24 and a guy that gives you plus defense, which is really the thing the Phillies needed. You already have a lineup in Philadelphia with big bats. Kyle Schwarber, one of the top home run hitters, a bunch of guys that are coming around like Nick Castellanos and JT Realmuto, Alec Bohm. So the offense is less of a focus point, more having a guy that you could trust to go out there and play a plus center field defensively and cover for some trouble spots in the corner outfield spots. That is what Brandon Marsh brings, at least now. And the fact that he's only 24 shows that, well, he could still project into a major league bat over the course of his time with the team. So it's upside with the bat and already plus defensive ability that makes him a great fit in center for the Phils.
In your estimation, as at this present moment, before they still have a little bit of time left today, is this a playoff team? Is this a team that can make the serious run here come postseason time?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a playoff team. And funny enough, got to thank the San Diego Padres for helping them with that, because if Juan Soto goes to the St. Louis Cardinals, where the Phillies are currently duking it out with for the third wild card spot in the National League, well, that road gets tougher. The Cardinals haven't really done too much besides adding Jose Quintana. So when you look at the combination of moves, I think the Phillies have had the better deadline. That puts them in better position to be a playoff team. And with an easy schedule, yeah, I like him to get in for the first time in a long time.
Hopefully that comes to fruition. Is there anything else you have your eye on in these last waning moments that you'd like to see them add if you could have everything?
Well, initially the thought was a starting pitcher is going to be the play at the trade deadline. Zach Eflin, who was your number 5 starter, just got put on the 60-day injured list, but he hasn't been available for about 3 weeks now with an issue going on with his knee that constantly plagues him. So I'd like to see them address the starter position, but some of the guys still out there, mainly Carlos Rodon. It sounds like the asking price is really high, and with 2 high-level, not high-level by most team standards, but by the Phillies standard, high-level prospects already moved in Logan O'Hoppe and Ben Brown, I'd be surprised if the Phillies meet the asking price for Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, it sounds like it is pretty high. So obviously, whoever ends up with Rodon is going to be great, but we'll see if he ends up in Philly or not. Either way, they're definitely doing what they need to do, adding to the bullpen and adding a bat. Connor, thank you for joining us. We'll be sure to check in with you if anything else goes down.
No problem. Appreciate it.